Hello and welcome to Tapping Tips Tuesday. My name's Katie Walker. I've got a question for you, or more of I want you to start thinking about this. You know those times when you might say, I should, I shouldn't, I can't do that, I'm not able to do that, I can't cope with that, or even I'm not good enough. This happens for other people, not me. I don't deserve that. It might not be a conscious thought, but it could be a feeling that you feel in those situations that kind of stops you because something underneath the surface is playing out. These are our patterns and our beliefs that are showing up when we say those words, or we have those feelings, or we have those thoughts. And it's really limiting us from being, experiencing, and doing what we want. And sometimes they are at that unconscious level. You might be very aware of what your belief is, and because it's always been that way, you're just going to live your life like that. Or it could be certain things that do happen and you're like, why does this continually happen to me, and not consciously aware. The one that was driving the bus for me for a really long time, until I found out where it kind of came from, was I don't matter. And so I was going through life looking at situations, and if things didn't go my way, well, it was because I didn't matter. And for a really long time, until I started to work on that and explore that and change that, because that really wasn't serving me and not allowing me to do or be or experience what I wanted, I was seeing the world through that lens. And what was actually happening may have been very different. People might have been showing up in a very different way, but I was seeing things to kind of support that particular belief that was playing out for me. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is that emotional freedom techniques, EFT tapping, can help to start to unblock the emotion and the intensity, the emotional charge that's there, the body feeling that shows up in those moments that support that or stop us from actually living and doing what we want. And so as an example, taking that I don't matter programming or belief, that could have shown up if I wasn't invited to something, for example. Now that could be because that person just wanted a small group, or they were restricted with numbers, or for whatever, it could be a myriad of reasons, but it had nothing to do with me. But I saw that as I don't matter, I'm not invited. So what we would do with that to start to unblock that, so I use what's called a tabletop table leg analogy. For anyone that knows EFT tapping, they would have heard of that. So the tabletop being I don't matter. So then there's all these legs that hold that belief up, the evidence that supports that particular belief, that one being I wasn't invited to that thing. So what we do is start to work on all those events, the evidence that supports it, to say, I don't matter, to knock that tabletop down. And there could be tabletops on top of tabletops. But the beautiful thing is there's this concept in EFT tapping, which is called the generalization effect. So we don't have to tap on all of those legs that might be supporting that one particular belief. It could be just a number of those, sort of the bigger ticket items, I refer to them as, that then knocks out that whole belief. So then we do show up differently. We start to see things through a different lens. So with the example of I don't matter, and one of those events being I wasn't invited to that party, what we do is we think about the event, and I think right here and now, what is the emotion I feel about that? When I think about that time when I wasn't invited to that party, it's the emotion I feel about it now, the intensity that I have right here, right now. I can't change what I felt then. It's here and now. So I wasn't invited to that party. How do I feel about it now? Sad. We rate it 0 to 10. And then we tap on that emotion of feeling sad, thinking about not being invited to that party. So I also go, do I feel that anywhere in my body? And if I do, I name it. So it could be sad and I feel it in my stomach. So this is what it would look like. And just working on that one event, supporting that one belief, I don't matter. So even though I feel sadness in my stomach, thinking about that time when I wasn't invited to that party, now in my mind, I know what that was all about. But if I was working with a client, I'd probably get a little bit more detail to be very specific, because we don't want the mind to be going out to all of those times when it's just that one particular time. So even though I feel this sadness in my stomach, thinking about that time when I wasn't invited to the party, I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel sad in my stomach, thinking about that time when I wasn't invited to the party, I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel sad in my stomach, thinking about that time when I wasn't invited to the party, I can still deeply and completely accept myself. We go to the top of the head and we just repeat the emotion, feeling sad. Side of the eyebrow, feeling sad in my stomach. Side of the eye, feeling sad in my stomach. Under the eye, feeling sad. Under the nose, feeling sad. Under the lip, feeling sad. Collarbone, feeling sad. Under the arm, feeling sad. Then we come back to the side of the hand and I think about that, not being invited to that party, that time when I wasn't invited to the party. How does that sad feeling feel? Now, if I rated it 5 out of 10, has it come down? Has it gone up? Sometimes when we start to do the tapping and we're tuning in, it can go up. So don't think, oh my gosh, it's not working. Just think about, am I still thinking about that time when I wasn't invited to the party? Is it still emotion? Is the emotion, still sadness? Because the emotion can change as we're starting to tune in, or it could shift because then we think about how we found out we weren't invited to the party. So we just have to come back and regroup. What is it that we're still focused in on? So if it's still, I'm just thinking about not being invited to the party and I still feel sad, but it's say 2 and it's maybe shifted from my stomach to my chest, then we just say that again and we keep tapping until we have brought down the sadness or even anger, if it shifts to anger or however it changes, but just keep one round, check in, what is it that I'm feeling now until we get it down to ideally 0 is what we want to get it down to. And then tabletop, I don't matter, or I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve it, whatever you know it is. And if you don't know it, it's themes that show up. It's themes that might show up for you. Or you work with me and I will help you understand and unpack what could be underneath the surface in terms of your belief system and your core beliefs around that are creating these situations for you or stopping you from doing what you want to be doing, experiencing, being, and the repeating stuff that shows up that you're like, this is not serving me, this is making me feel negatively, however it's showing up for you. But the tabletop of I don't matter, I've done that one event, that time when I wasn't invited to the party. Then I would reflect back and go, where else has this shown up that I don't matter? And it could have been in a working situation where I wasn't involved in a team meeting, or I wasn't promoted, or I was overlooked for something, or it could be in a family situation where the family got together and they were talking about certain things and I wasn't invited, or I wasn't included, or I would be reflecting back on all of those legs, the events that were holding up that tabletop, and I would start to pragmatically work through each one, thinking about it now. What is the emotion? Back then it could have been anger. Now it could be sadness. Back then it could have been sadness. Now it's disappointed. And we just systematically work through each event holding up that particular belief or that theme that keeps showing up for you. So this is transformational. When we get to work on these beliefs that are driving the bus, when we get to work on those and we get to smash the belief, life is very different. Experiences are very different. We see things through a very different lens. It's bloody beautiful. It's beautiful. So if you want to know more or you're a little curious as to what this is all about, reach out to me at hello@katiewalkereft.com, or my website is www.katiewalkereft.com. I hope this has been really helpful. Thank you for joining me.